Hi, my name is Robert Shelley with Shelley Law, and I'm an attorney that assists physicians with employment contract and independent contractor agreement issues. Today I'm going to talk about what is the average CME budget for a physician. So, how much will the organization that you're working for pay for your CME? And so, in short, the average is around $3,000 to $3,500. Now, how it's paid, when it's paid, whether you have to pay it back, are all factors involved in CME. And so let's break them down. Some places will reimburse you. So you'll have to pay them out and then submit the expenses, and then they would have to approve them, and then they would reimburse you for whatever that is. Others will just provide a set amount of money each year. They'll just pay you $3,500, and then you can just use that however you want, with the idea of you using it towards CME. And then what is included in that CME budget can also change. And so in my mind, there should be a separation between your dues and fees. So your medical board license, DEA registration, professional associations. That should be separate, and those should be completely reimbursed to the physician. And then the CME budget, using the $3,500 as an average example, should only go towards the conferences, the CME, the travel, the food, the lodging, the conference fee itself. If you're getting $3,500 for CME, for your license, for your DEA, for your associations, that is not enough. And that should be something that you absolutely negotiate before signing your employment contract. They need to be separate. Now, what do you do if you're being offered something that's very low? So for instance, if you're having, let's say they're grouping them all together and you're only getting $1,500 per year, well, you're absolutely going to be paying out of pocket for some of the things, or you're going to have a CME conference that may not be super desirable. You may have to go from a warm weather location to South Dakota. No shots at South Dakota, but so you need to come with data, right? So anytime you're asking for something in a contract, you need to justify why you want the change. And so if, for instance, they're saying we're going to give you $1,500 for everything, for the dues and fees and CME, then you need to come back at them and just say, look, the average CME for a physician is $3,500, does not include the dues and fees. Those should be reimbursed completely, regardless of how much they cost. This is well below average, and I'd like at least industry standard amounts for both of those. And you can find industry standard amounts online. I would suggest going to professional associations that either have to do with your specialty or the AMA or any kind of industry related professional associations. Usually will be able to provide data that shows, okay, this is the average CME reimbursement for physicians, this is the average dues and fees reimbursed, that type of thing. And when you can come to them with, based upon the numbers issued by this association, they state that that is much more, effective as a negotiation tactic than just saying, well, my friend said, or I have a colleague who said they make this much in their contract. Well, most employers don't care about that. But if you can give them numbers, hard numbers that say, look, this is what this association says is the industry average, and I want at least that. It would be uncommon to find higher than a $5,000 CME budget. So if you're asking for $10,000 for CME a year, I would consider that unreasonable. And then setting is also important as well. You'll likely get a higher CME budget if you're working for a hospital or a healthcare network versus a privately owned physician group. That's just in my experience, which is pretty vast in this industry. You're just going to see less for a private owned group, mostly because, especially if it's a smaller physician owned group with either a singular physician or maybe a couple of them, they're just not going to want to pay as much for CME as a big organization who, has a larger budget for that. So if you're getting less than $3,500 for CME per year, it's going to be below average. And if they're lumping in your dues and fees into that as well, it's even much more below average. That should be separate and totally paid for by the employer. So hopefully that was helpful. If you have any questions about your employment contract or independent contractor agreement, feel free to contact my law firm at the contact information listed below in the description. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them. I'm happy to answer any of them. I appreciate you watching the video. Thanks. Bye.